Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome all of you to this interview. Today, we have someone truly special joining us, someone who is a visionary, a trailblazer, and if rumors are true, someone who drinks coffee more stronger than his competition. Now, before we invite him up on stage, let's watch a short video.
In the 19th century, a man set foot on African soil, driven not only by the spirit of exploration, but by a deep faith in God's mission. David Livingstone, a Scottish missionary and explorer, will leave an indelible mark on Africa and the world. Born on March 19, 1813, in Scotland, Livingstone grew up in a poor, devout Christian family. He worked in a cotton mill from the age of 10, balancing long hours of labor with a thirst for knowledge. It was during these formative years that he felt called to serve as a missionary.
Now, before we invite him up on stage, let's make sure he gets the warmest welcome possible. In the count of 3, I want everyone to clap, cheer, and make some noise like never before. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Dr. Livingstone, it is an honor to meet you today. A lot of people across the world consider you as a hero for your hard work and dedication. But can you tell us what inspired you to become a missionary?
Thank you, ma'am. From a young age, I felt called to serve God with both my hands and heart. From a young age, I used to read about missionaries from far-off lands, and when I did read about how they brought the gospel to distant lands, I felt inspired, and I knew that God was calling me to do missionary work. My desire was not just to preach, but bring healing and the word of God to those who haven't heard of it yet.
That's very inspiring. But a few know about your personal life. Can you tell us more about your early years?
Yes. A little about my personal life is that I was born in 1813 in Blantyre, Scotland, into a poor but godly family. Both my parents were very devoted to Christ, which also influenced me. But based on religion, I was brought up in a Calvinist faith in a Scottish church, but I later joined an independent church, Christ congregation. My wife, Mary Mafford, the daughter of the famous missionary Robert Mafford, and me and Mary had 6 children together. She also came with me during my time in Africa. I am a missionary, doctor, explorer, and when I was younger, I used to work 14-hour shifts in a cotton mill to help support my family. Our family did not have that much money, so by the age of 19, I saved up enough money to start my medical training in Anderson College in Glasgow. And during my 2 years of medical school, I studied Greek and theology. And
good to know you're close to God from a very young age, as well as your family. But when you first arrived in Africa, you realized that traditional preaching was not enough. How did you find your way of missionary works?
I started doing missionary works from 1841, and I was sent by the London Missionary Society. And yes, indeed, I did come to preach, but I soon realized that the gospel must be lived as well as spoken. Spoken. I realized that the African people did not need a European religion imposed upon them. They need to see God's love in action. So I made it my life's mission to do missionary work and help those who need God in their life.
Great to hear how you help people teach the love of God. But you have experienced many things during your time, like attacks, diseases, and many more. And you have also seen a lot of things. Can you tell us what you witnessed?
I've been doing missionary work for the past 11 years, and during that time, I have seen terrible things, and it just makes me wonder how lucky we are to have everything behind why we're here right now. I've seen people beaten by Arab slave traders who forced people to slavery. I've seen men and women chained like animals, children torn apart from their mothers' hands, and I have walked paths filled with bones of those who can't continue anymore. And if I had done nothing in my life but bring attention to this evil, it wouldn't have been enough. No man should have authority over one another. The Lord proclaims liberty over all.
It must have been hard to witness such things and to think that people did not get the love of God. Being apart from your family and the things that were going on in Africa must have been hard. But what kept you going?
Only the grace of God. I can tell you, God is the only reason that kept me going. During my time in Africa, I was lots of things happened. Not just the things that the African people went through. We didn't have any home. We used to live in wagons and tents. The food was difficult. We didn't get food a lot of times. And I've believe it or not, I was even attacked by a lion. And I've gone through malaria, dysentery, it had me weak. And during my time in Africa, I lost my son and my wife to disease and war, which was devastating. And every time I reached the edge and thought that I can't continue more, I can't go forward, I heard the voice of the Lord say in my head, I'm here, you could be strong, I'm here for you. And so I kept going. I realized that God does not always send help in the way we expect, but He never leaves us without aid.
It's great to hear how the Lord helped you through your hard times. But if this was the last message that the world would hear from you, what would it be?
I'll tell them that Africa is not a harsh place to be hated but loved, and that Christ must be born not by force but by compassion, and that slavery must end not by law but with the transformation of heart. And if I do not live to do so, may others take up the work that I have laid down.
Thank you, Dr. Livingston. It was very inspiring and wonderful to hear and experience the amazing works that you have done. Your life is an example to so many people, and thank you for the people to find the true path in life. Thank you, Dr. Livingston, for sharing your life experience, and thank you. I hope all of you enjoyed this. May God bless you.